Academy Award has a first name. It's OSCAR. Welcome to How Do We Human. This is the podcast where we talk about all the weird and uncomfortable micro moments in life. I'm one of your hosts, Chris Binning.
I'm one of your hosts, Meyer Wieners.
And today we're going to be talking about the Oscars. Normally we do an Oscars episode every year. Hey, This year you're getting a second Oscars episode because
in August
we wanted to do. There's been so much discussion about who should host the Oscars. Jimmy Kimmel said no. John Mulaney said no.
HowDoWeHuman, not asked yet.
HowDoWeHuman, not asked, would say yes. Even though most people that have hosted are like, it's a terrible job.
And for it to be two nobodies like us, that would probably suck. We'd get so much hate.
I don't know, actually. I think that all of our jokes would die in the room, I think. But on the broadcast might play okay.
Okay.
It would depend on how we took it, but that may be things that come up during this bracket as we try to figure out which of these 32 options the Academy should go with, might go with. We'll have to figure out what our ruling criteria will be here. But before we get to any of that, I want to just take a little moment and ask my friend Meyer Wiener, how you doing?
Doing good. Meyer Wiener is a good name, and I wish it were mine. I wish I were an Oscar Meyer Wiener. My thing I gotta say is this: if you remember, a while back, I was having some issues with my thumbs. Had ultrasound on them. Went to the doctor so many times. Had steroids injected to them. Nothing was helping. And eventually, I started wearing the compression gloves. And it was like, it took a while. But after wearing compression gloves and resting, they healed. And they've been good for half a year or so more. But just now, it flared up again. It's been hurting again. And I realized what the source is.
What is it?
One of either. I mean, there's no clean way to say this. But Star Wars.
Okay.
Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor. This is how it timed out. When Jedi Fallen Order came out and I bought it, I was playing that, and that was when my thumb started hurting. I just started playing the sequel, and my thumb started hurting again. It's a lot of click, 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 fight style. I think I have Star Wars to blame for my thumb issues.
This is upsetting, Evan.
It is.
I didn't expect you to be one of these guys who turns his whole personality into Kathleen Kennedy has ruined my life, but here we are.
Yeah, Star Wars, they fucked me up. But it's a shame. Those games are so good and better storytelling than any of the most recent movies. So you go out and play them for me.
All right.
I'm dying. Chris?
Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I have a little bit of an addendum to the Olympics episode, a sort of a closing ceremonies, if you will, for that episode. I love the Olympics. Been watching the Olympics almost every day. And I've been at work for several of those days because I work in the afternoon/evening. Sometimes I'm watching those good prime time highlights. And I'm watching them in the break room. And you always think of the Olympics as bringing everyone together. But I have some different quotes from different coworkers that have walked into the break room, saw the Olympics on, made a comment, and left. And I'd like to run through some of these comments now.
Fantastic.
I was watching women's gymnastics. A guy came in and was like, oh, at least it's the good part of the Olympics. Half naked chicks flipping around. Hey, man. These are teenagers. Another coworker, and hey, you might be able to tell what kind of person this is. Walked in, saw a female competitor annihilating the competition, and went, "Yeah, but are we really sure she's a woman?" Awesome. I was watching women's gymnastics on a different day. A woman came in to the break room, saw the gymnastics, and was like, "Oh my god, to have that body, to have that killer body." Excuse me, ma'am. Please stop.
Again, these are teenagers.
Again, these are teenagers, and
we were all teenagers once, and our bodies were better.
That's why there's a difference. Anyway, the last two come from the same coworker.
Great.
Who's just a real miserable son of a bitch. Anyways, the men's 100-meter dash final.
Yeah.
In which American Noah Lyles won by like 0.04 of a second, or maybe even less than that.
No lie.
A lot of debate as to whether or not he won, because the rule is your torso has to cross the finish line.
Really?
Yes.
It's weird.
The torso, whoever's torso crosses first is the winner, because the runner from Jamaica, his foot crosses first, and then the American that took bronze, his foot crosses second, but Noah Lyles gets his torso across first. And so that's the reason it shakes out that way. It's very obvious from the overhead view of the finish line. It's very obvious that that's the winner, if that's the rule. But this coworker keeps saying, no, we should have lost. We lost. But Mike, the rule is that the torso crosses first. I think it should be the foot. I think it should be whatever part of your body.
Yeah.
Well, hey, man, I think USA should win gold every time just because. So I think actually we've been robbed every other event. We're just making up our own rules.
Yeah.
This same coworker, another coworker and I were talking about how in the shooting events, I think I mentioned the same comment on the podcast, but in the shooting events, for a country that loves guns so gosh dang much, we can't seem to get any medals in those shooting events. And this coworker's defense was because in America we don't shoot targets, we shoot commies.
Okay. Do we?
I don't know how I feel about watching the Olympics in public, which maybe could have been more of a discussion on that episode. But
fascinating.
Just some weird things. I know the Olympics, I think they'll be over by the next time we record. But if any other comments come up, I'll be sure to document them and bring them up on the next episode.
Please do. If that feels like the most opinionated people aren't actually watching the Olympics. They're walking by it in the break room and deciding they know everything.
Correct. And who knows, two of those people, one of them, in fact, did mention, I think that he might still occasionally watch some of it, but he did mention that he was quite upset with the Last Supper drag queen moment in the opening ceremonies he did.
Oh, what did that do to you?
That he was devastated by that.
Devastated.
He didn't say devastated. He said, actually, he said angry, which is worse. So
traumatized, scandalized. I love humans.
Yep,
we're a fascinating bunch.
Yeah.
Speaking of humans,
I do want to clarify real quick. I left this athlete's name out on purpose, but the athlete that was the gender was being questioned, is not the Algerian boxer that is the talk
Being
of the
questioned
town.
by
Yes, exactly. It was
by old Just Kidding Rowling.
it was one of our athletes, USA baby. Why do my
USA.
coworkers keep hating the USA winning stuff?
That's an interesting thought, and we do have to move on. But like we were talking about, like I'm not a hyper like USA, but the Olympics does make me weirdly patriotic. Do all the like USA people year round? The Olympics come around and go like,
these are
those Americans.
These are the people who are truly like the
Great
most patriotic.
Americans.
Yeah, there's no country in the world better than the U.S. except, I guess, in these sports that I'm watching. Outrageous.
Amazing. You'll love to see it.
Do you? All right, let's talk
divided.
about... Speaking of divide, let's talk about the Academy Awards and their hosting options as we look forward to the year 2025, celebrating the year 2024.
Yes. And for those who don't read the trades, the news, what kind of spurred this was Jimmy Kimmel, no hosty. He said, no, bye-bye.
Jimmy Kimmel has been so desperate to apparently leave show business, and ABC just keeps saying, come on, baby, keep working for us.
All right, but I'm taking like 12 weeks off every year, and we'll have guest hosts. Okay, sure. Seemingly the follow-up that people wanted was John Mulaney. He is unavailable. So there's been silence for a long time, and we're here to fill that silence.
Yes.
With
That's
science.
What two white guys on a podcast are for. Filling silence.
Filling silence between trade papers. Between variety articles.
Doing an episode that's 100% speculation, but treating it like it's 100% fact.
So I put together a bracket. Chris and I went back and forth on who these... I almost said contestants, and I'm going to say contestants. Who these contestants should be, and they should be competing with one another right now.
It should
Tim
be like
Walz,
American Idol, where
Josh
like
Shapiro.
They should all do like, hey, do your opening monologue, and then America votes on who should go through to the next round.
See, yeah, that'd be fun. That I would watch The Masked Singer if that's what the result was. Whoever this person
everybody comes out in like in Oscar costumes.
The Grouch?
Yeah, that's right.
Everyone comes out in trash cans.
Oscar the Grouch, Oscar Mayer, Oscar Pistorius. All the
Wieners.
great Oscars of history.
What about Oscar Isaac?
Oscar Isaac, yeah.
And Oscar Academy Award.
Yep.
So I broke this down into groups because the first thing, Chris, you brought this up, and I was like, oh, can we come up with a list of 32? And I broke it
more than
down. We did have more than that. I was surprised. I did the internet research. I found a big group of people that the Redditors and click, or what do you call listicles, Reddit posts, who people are talking about that they'd like to see or who they think is likely to see. And then I took people that have previously hosted the Oscars and the Golden Globes, and then also sorted those based on if people liked that or not, and whether or not these people have been in the news for some reason or another. Now, here's the time to admit, and I think this is the best use of this technology. I then went to AI.
Okay.
And I don't know why this is hard to understand, that this is a good use of ChatGPT, not certain other things. But I pumped those lists in there and said, rank these based on current popularity. And they did very fast.
All right.
And it said, this is based on social media presence, current newsworthiness, and general pop culture popularity. I'm like, I'll take it. So basically, we've got a list from most popular to least popular, broken up into their relationship to award shows and the Oscars, and being inappropriate weirdos.
Yeah. All right.
Scientific enough?
I think so.
I think so too. These normally take way too fucking long. So should we get started?
I think we should, yes. As far as the seeds go, we can run through those real quick. In that number one seed, these are the 32 options that you're going to have. So if you're listening to this and you hear one of them and you're like, that's who I'm rooting for, here are your options. Some of these are groups, by the way, so you're going to hear more than 32 names,
and some of these are very obviously not going to host.
Correct.
The Oscars.
Some of these are easy outs in the first round.
Yeah, we need some easy out firsters,
because again, some of these people have hosted recently, but have been in the news with some controversy, or hosted recently and didn't do.
Some of these people are Joe Coy.
Exactly. All right. So we've got Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez hosting together.
Correct.
Dwayne Johnson, John Cena, Quinta Brunson, Chris Rock, Conan O'Brien, Stephen Colbert, Aquafina, Taylor Tomlinson, Hugh Jackman, Nikki Glazer, Neil Patrick Harris, The Muppets, Kate McKinnon, Billy Crystal, Whoopi Goldberg, Roy Wood Jr., Anthony Anderson, Jane Lynch, Jon Stewart, the option to have no host.
Appealing.
Jimmy Fallon, Tina Fey and Amy Poehler, Seth Meyers, Gerard Carmichael. I forgot how to pronounce Gerard for a second. The team of Amy Schumer, Regina Hall, and Wanda Sykes.
Gotta have them back.
Seth MacFarlane, James Franco and Anne Hathaway, Joe Coy, Ricky Gervais, Ellen DeGeneres, and Alec Baldwin.
The funniest thing, because every time I pump those into the groupings into ChatGPT, it would just spit them out and say this is the reason why. But on the grouping that included James Franco and Anne Hathaway, it was we can't rank these two together, but they are decidedly less popular than everyone else in the group, which made me laugh.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about it when we get to their matchup.
That's not happening. So I think there's a lot of good options in here.
Yeah.
And for those curious, the no host option I put at the bottom of the most popular bracket, because people have enjoyed not having a host in the past, but I'm not going to say it's more popular than John Cena.
Sure.
Not going to say it's more popular than Neil Patrick Harris.
Right. Again, we definitely have some thoughts about this. I guess I can just share it. You can see it's not going to be beautiful and colorful, but if you'd like to see the matchups as we work here on the YouTube video, I will have the screen open. And look, you're going to be able to see ahead, but this is what it is.
This first one's a tough one.
Yeah. Matchup number 1. The team of Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez versus Alec Baldwin. Now, I think it's pretty clear where you and I are both going to go on this, but I think this is a good chance to discuss what are we voting for? Are we voting for what ABC should, if we are ABC executives, what's the right choice? Are we voting for what we would like to see as viewers? Are we talking about who would... how are we deciding is the real question. And it's not important for this first matchup, but it is going to be important later, I think.
I also just realized I put this bracket together incorrectly, and there's not really going to be a super easy way to move things forward, but we'll take care of it. I think we got to look at this as ABC's out and we are in
Right.
charge.
Okay.
And being in charge, fully in charge, we know, we do answer to people. We have to answer to the Academy. Like, so we aren't making the choice that we just want to see, but that we want to see and that would make sense and that the people would be happy with. You know what I mean? I think it's
I think
collective.
so, yeah.
We're in charge. Let's make
Great.
the right choice.
Yeah, as I am looking at this, the way this is set up, it is going to be a little challenging to figure
Listen,
out.
I put this together 10 minutes before we stopped on here. There's also just the fact, it's worth saying, Steve Martin and Martin Short have hosted things together before without Selena Gomez. There's a possibility they would host this together. There's a possibility they would host it separate. But this was both the number one thing people are asking for on the internet, and according to AI, via Selena Gomez's extreme popularity, the most popular option.
And there is Selena Gomez is going to be in an Oscar contender.
Is that so?
This year, and then of course, obviously they're the three co-stars of Only Murders in the Building, which is on Hulu, which is owned by Disney, which also owns ABC. So there is that corporate synergy, which is why I think their names pop up in a lot of those options, is because they're looking for people in-house. And if it is How Do We Human taking over the Academy Awards and broadcasting it on our YouTube channel at How Do We Human, I do think that we would pretty easily, and oh man, do I say this joke? Sure. I think we go with Steve Martin and Martin Short and Selena Gomez, number one with a bullet over Alec Baldwin.
And we could just say, controversies aside, the last time I saw Alec Baldwin in something was when he surprised us on SNL.
Yeah, it looked rough.
That would be a jarring Oscars. So let's move forward.
Yeah, I mean, his
the Only Murders crew.
Yeah, his case has been had been thrown out.
Shall we move on?
I think so.
This one, we've got a old-time, very popular Oscar host in Whoopi Goldberg at the 16 seed versus at the 17 seed Roy Wood Jr.
I mean, I know which way I'm going immediately, but if we're talking controversy, Whoopi Goldberg's controversies don't seem to stick. I think mostly because she's on a show nobody cares about, which is The View. But she does seem to pop up as having controversial views and statements. I think mostly regarding race and Jewish people. However, Roy Wood Jr. seems to have faded into obscurity at a lightning quick pace after leaving the Daily Show. But as a correspondent, I generally didn't enjoy him, but when he was hosting the Daily Show on those weeks that they let him host and be in charge, I thought he was the best at it. So,
and he's done, unless I'm mistakenly remembering, he's done the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Is that true?
He has done it. Okay. Yes, I think he did it 2 years ago.
I think could be wrong. He is a solid choice if we want to go the direction of not. No offense, Roy. He did get the 17th seat. That's not nothing, but not celebrity.
Sure.
Whoopi Goldberg feels old Hollywood. We've got a handful of those. We got Billy Crystal in here. There is a world where they go that way, but I don't think that's where we're going. So personally, I lean towards Roy Wood Jr. being more likely to do it, and
Yeah.
I think he would do a good job.
Roy Wood Jr. is also my pick.
Do I expect him to make it to the end of this bracket? No.
No,
But
I think he's going to lose in the next round.
We've surprised ourselves before, so we'll see what happens.
That's true. Next up, we've got Aquafina at number 8 versus the 25 seed Gerard Carmichael.
This is a younger pair.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's bring up ages. Whoopi Goldberg is old. Aquafina and Gerard Carmichael are young.
Your thoughts?
Your thoughts?
This is the toughest matchup thus far.
It is, yeah.
And I think it's because I think that Gerard Carmichael's style isn't necessarily conducive to award show hosting. He hosts the Golden Globes, or did he host the Emmys? I don't remember.
He hosted the Golden Globes, and I was unaware that happened.
Yeah, it was. I watched his opening, and like, he's a funny guy, but the way that like it just doesn't fit to me in traditional Academy Award, especially, but a traditional award show hosting. And maybe that's a good thing, that it breaks the mold a little bit. But I'm not crazy about it. That being said, I have Aquafina fatigue. So
and we might.
I really don't know which way to go on this one.
Which I lean towards, like a Jack Black, putting her in every animated movie ever.
Yeah.
Both of these people.
She's been in 3 this year.
That's insane.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be. But yeah, I love Gerard Carmichael. I like Aquafina. I agree with you. Gerard Carmichael doesn't necessarily fit, but both of these people have been in Oscar-y movies.
Yeah.
Gerard Carmichael more recently in Poor Things. I don't think either is particularly likely. This would be similar to what I was saying with Roy Wood Jr., just like a real out of left field that no one's expecting, but is harmless. So no one will be upset. Well, some people will be upset.
Well, of course people will be upset, but my pick is going to be Gerard Carmichael.
I think I would agree.
But again, much similar to Roy Wood Jr., I don't see either Aquafina or Gerard Carmichael making it very far in this bracket. But for right now, I'm going to give Gerard the win.
The 25 seed moving forward. Now, I know where you're leaning on this one.
I don't know.
We've got a couple of late nighters. Up too late. Can they be up early enough to start hosting duties? I don't know. The number 9 seed, Taylor Tomlinson, and the number 24 seed, Seth Meyers. I think Seth Meyers is a solid host of anything.
Yeah.
Period. Taylor Tomlinson, the new blood, and she's funny, and I think would be good at hosting. So mildly tough. I know you're a big Seth Meyers fan.
I'm a big Seth Meyers fan. Seth Meyers is my favorite of the late night hosts. He has hosted the Golden Globes and did a pretty decent job. He also, is a writer and works very closely with writers, so you could have some strong jokes in there. Similar to Jimmy Kimmel, as a talk show host, he can pal around and rib some of those celebs there without it being too devastating for anybody. That being said, I think that as far as who would be most likely to get the job, as it is broadcast on ABC, I think Taylor Tomlinson's more likely to get it than Seth Meyers. I think that there is, because they've had Jimmy Kimmel host it so many times, I kind of feel like they'd be afraid to go to another network's late night host, which
Yeah, this
will
is a
come
good
up
point.
later with Jimmy Fallon and
Oh boy,
Jon Stewart and Colbert.
yeah, I didn't think about
But
this.
I think Seth is my guy, right?
I know.
But Taylor
Go with your heart.
is every year it feels like the Academy is like, how do we bring in new young viewers?
Yeah,
And they always seem to think it's to have a young host that young people like, and that's not it. It's to um, nominate different movies, but um, so I think that Taylor would be good for the job. It'd be nice to see her get to be funny outside of that awful After at Midnight show. I don't know why why CBS loves
that
or
format.
Colbert love At Midnight so much. That show was uh, ridiculous.
If people don't know her outside of that show, she's a very good stand-up. She's a very
Yes.
funny person. I feel like, against all odds, we might be leaning Taylor.
I think I am leaning Taylor. This is and I might say this again in a later matchup, but as of right now, like these are two people that I would take pretty far in the bracket, but
Yeah,
they can't both go far in the
they
bracket
can't.
based on the way the seating is. Um gosh, I'm waffling back and forth here. Um because I do keep thinking about what some of the articles in those trades have said that the Academy's looking for. They're looking for somebody non-controversial
Yeah,
and somebody, I don't know. I've heard different things now at this point. When John Mulaney was an option, they were saying, well, he's not political enough. And then
sure.
after he declined it, they were like, well, we want somebody less
Apolitical.
political. Yeah, because we don't want people to not tune in, and it's like they're not going to tune in anyway, because even if you have a host that's not political, guess what those speeches are going to be, baby.
It's true.
um
People are going to get riled up.
all that to say that Seth is definitely a political option. You would expect some political jokes there in that monologue.
It's true.
I am gonna go with Taylor Tomlinson though,
He's
but
doing it.
would love to see Seth do it as well.
He's out.
He's out. Not popular enough.
I just put a little heart you message next to Seth's name for audio listeners. He's got to know.
He has to know.
He's in the podcasting game now. We might come up.
Yeah. I want to be on family trips with the Myers brothers. He needs to know that I heart him.
We heart you. But you're out.
All right. Next matchup is the number 4 seed, Quinta Brunson of Abbott Elementary fame versus the 29 seed, Joe Coy.
Joe.
I know where I'm going with this, Evan.
I know. I see a name already highlighted.
I mean, you are in control of the highlighting, so
I have nothing. It's like I have nothing against Joe Coy. I didn't watch the Golden Globes. I saw clips and was like, it's funny because all the time was like, he was so bad, he was terrible, and it was like, it just feels like it's not going well. He seems like a funny person. I don't know. I wasn't watching the show, but I like Quinta Brunson. I think she's very funny. A chance to get here, and this is not what we're doing, but I guess we could say the Academy, the elders of the Academy, are throwing influence on us. And their idea of someone young and hip would be someone that came from BuzzFeed. A company that practically no longer
Fair.
exists.
Yeah.
And that would be Quinta Brunson. I can't imagine, and again, no hard feelings. I can't imagine anyone giving Joe Coy another award hosting duty after how poorly that was received.
Yeah, I agree. Joe Coy is a very popular stand-up comedian, but kind of, at least the first part of what I said, where if you and I were hosting, a lot of our jokes would eat shit in the room. That's what would happen if Joe Coy was chosen again. And
Yeah.
as we saw when he hosted the Golden Globes, Joe Coy doesn't like to bomb. There are some comedians that really enjoy the silence of when a joke goes wrong. Joe Coy's not one of them. Joe Coy needs you to know that if you didn't laugh at that, it's not because of him.
Absolutely.
And it rubs a lot of people the wrong way when you're about to nominate or give awards to, at least in some categories, writers. It doesn't go well when you
throw your writers' room behind the bus. Can I reiterate just how poorly I made this bracket?
Yes, you
can. The further we get into this, the less sense it makes. Where is this answer gonna go? I want to fix it so bad. I'm better at Google Sheets than this. Okay, we're going Quinta Brunson. Is that fair to say?
That is fair to say.
As she goes on this arbitrary line. And we go on to a group that I think would do great together.
Yeah, you know what?
Muppets
you're right.
At number 13 and Jon Stewart at number 20. That's a good duo.
It is. But they, of course, are competing against each other. No
other way.
If I'm ABC, the elders of the Academy, I would think that I would have heard by now many people calling every year.
Yes.
The Muppets should be the ones to host the Academy Awards.
Yes.
I think that, the Muppets are in need of a resurgence.
Yeah.
They have not had a big successful project in 13 years at this point.
What happened with the Dr. Teeth show?
I believe it went to Disney Plus, and nobody heard anything about it. Yeah. And they had their, sitcom on ABC for one season. But they're pretty beloved.
They are.
Friendly for all ages.
Mm-hmm.
Can do comedy, can do song and dance. You've got those are generally the two common ways to open up the Oscars, either with a big musical number or with jokes.
But which of these do you see just going more political?
I do see Jon Stewart probably being more political than Sam the Eagle.
I feel like Sam the Eagle has some very patriotic opinions on politics.
That's I think that he does, but I think that Jon Stewart would have even more.
Early January is his 4th of July. That's when America was born.
I don't know. I think that, look, the Muppets are who I would be most excited out of all of these 32 names. If the Muppets were announced to host the Oscars, that gets me the most interested and the most excited. Mm-hmm. When I asked our listeners on Instagram, who do they want to see host the Oscars?
Rousing
both,
response.
At hand.hartnett and at Drew Maraca, both threw the Muppets names out there. Hand.hartnett saying, I only ever want to see the Muppets host. And at Drew Maraca saying, the Muppets actually would be so good.
Yeah.
But I do think that, I think they're, even though the public wants it, I think that as out of touch executives, I would immediately disqualify the Muppets.
Yeah.
If I were an executive, I'd say absolutely not. Get me Glenn Powell, a guy everybody is obsessed with for reasons that I don't really understand.
I thought I hadn't seen him in anything, and you reminded me I have.
Yeah.
So, here's what I'll say. I love Jon Stewart. I think he's a great host. I believe he's hosted award shows in the past. I forget where I put him in the bracket. But obviously the Muppets is the fun choice.
Yeah.
The concern would be what a logistical nightmare it would be to have puppets. You'd have to, you would literally have the whole show. There's a big stage with a microphone where people walk out to the microphone. Now you got to set something up where there's puppeteers underground or above ground. Like, you don't normally see these,
with boxes and stuff.
These Muppets, in place. Their legs, and they're going to have to go here. They're going to have to go there. And it would be fun as hell if they pulled it off. But if we were responsible for the first time that we saw a full-on Muppet fuck-up, there was, like, puppeteers running around on camera, we would never live it down. We would kill the Muppets. I think because we got such a rousing response for the Muppets, and they are, like, the most popular of the, like, internet, one of the more popular of the internet options, I kind of feel like we have to go Muppets over Jon Stewart, but I think we need to take these logistics into consideration as we move forward.
I'm also going to move the Muppets forward.
Okay, sorry, John.
But yeah, we will have to discuss some more of the logistics as we.
How are we gonna do
closer.
This? Get Frank Oz back in the fold.
Next up, hey, we've got a real controversial matchup here. The number 5 seed, Chris Rock, versus the number 28 seed, the team of James Franco and Anne Hathaway. James Franco and Anne Hathaway infamously hosting together in like 2010, I believe.
James Franco, just as popular as he ever was.
James Franco and Anne Hathaway reportedly did not get along while hosting together. This was as corporate of a pairing as you could get.
Even putting aside the fact that it went poorly and they said they didn't like each other and didn't like working together, like, hearing that pairing was like, huh?
Yes.
What do you mean? That would it honestly isn't that different from how it feels right now. If this were announced that James Franco and Anne Hathaway were hosting again, I would be as confused as I was the first time they announced it.
Yeah. Look, if Anne Hathaway was hosting by herself or with somebody different, if it was Chris Rock and Anne Hathaway, still wildly confusing.
Very strange,
but I would vote that matchup through.
Absolutely.
Disgraced actor James Franco, who's trying to make his comeback playing Fidel Castro in an upcoming movie. I don't know if it comes out this year or next year, but you know how James Franco is clearly comes across as a Cuban man. Anyway.
Just got a little taste of accent work in The Disaster Artist.
It's true. Chris Rock, I don't know how interested he is in returning to the Dolby Theater.
Will Smith's not allowed. So if he's ever going to come back, now would be the time. Unless you want to really build up numbers, bring him back to host the year Will Smith's allowed to come back.
Oh, yeah, that'd be awesome.
But it does, in my mind, it just makes me go like, we didn't hate that moment for Chris Rock. And I think Chris Rock was doing a fine job hosting, in spite of what Will Smith may say. Yeah, he's less the talk of the town than he used to be, but he's more the talk of the town than James Franco or Anne Hathaway.
Yeah.
And I think he could pull viewers in.
I think Chris Rock is he's easily getting the vote
Yeah.
over James Franco
Okay.
and Anne Hathaway, so definitely move him forward.
And I think if he hosted this year and Will Smith's not allowed there, it would be a night full of slap jokes, G.I. Jane jokes, and tearing Will Smith down, which it felt like we never really got that from Chris Rock.
No, we only got it from Marlon Wayans for some reason.
It was not what we expected, but here we are. Now here's a tough one. The 12 seed versus the number 21 seed. We got Neil Patrick Harris or nobody. And I'm not talking Bob Odenkirk when I say nobody. Don't get confused. I'm talking no host at all, which this is the time to bring up. I didn't consider it until popping all these in. One of the no host years was hosted by Regina King. But they're like, no, she's not the host. Don't worry. No host. I kind of feel like I fucked up in Regina.
The Oscars in the train ceremony.
Yes, that was
in the train station.
The train ceremony. Wasn't that the closest to COVID?
Yes.
Yeah, that was a weird one. But I do feel like Regina King probably should be in this list, but she's not. Sorry, Regina. We love you. Neil Patrick Harris or no host?
I'm going Neil Patrick Harris.
Ooh, spicy.
I don't like when they don't have a host. I want a host of these award shows.
We've talked about that before, but I get people complain about the hosts. People hate hosts. People blah, 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 blah. And a lot of people do prefer it when there were no hosts. I want a show. I'm not just there to see who wins. I'm definitely there to see who wins, but I want a show. Man, I want to laugh.
The biggest problem of those no host things were like, an announcer would be like, and now, Kelly Marie Tran. And then it cuts to Kelly Marie Tran and she's like, now to present the award for Best Adapted Screenplay, Jennifer Aniston and Dave Bautista or whatever. It's like, well, what are we doing?
About that. It's so fucking weird.
It's so weird. I would rather just have a host kind of lead the show. You don't have to do hacky bits through the whole show, which I think is what most people resented about hosts.
Absolutely.
Is that we kept having to stop and start the show so that, I mean, this wasn't a host thing, but when Lil Rel came out and asked Glenn Close about hip hop or whatever, like we don't have to do hacky bits all the time. Do a big opening and then keep the show moving. Pepper it with jokes if you want when you're introducing presenters or categories, but
you're not getting
a
bigger
big thing at the beginning
opening than you would with Neil Patrick Harris. When he hosts, it's an all-out musical number up top. He has a fast sense of humor. He'll keep things moving. He's not as popular as he once was, but I think it'd be a great choice.
Yeah, he has hosted the Oscars before, and I remember his opening number singing about movies but calling them moving pictures, and it was very cringy, but not as cringy as not having a host, so he moves forward.
Here you go. I should have looked back at all of these clips, pulled clips we could listen to, but guess what, we're about 50 minutes now and we haven't finished the first round.
Christ.
So we'll decide after this first round, long episode or 2 episodes.
Yep. All right. The next matchup, the number 2 seed Dwayne The Rock Johnson versus the number 31 seed Ellen DeGeneres.
This round sucks.
This is an AI generated round right here.
No, this is. This. I don't know. Dwayne Johnson is the number 2 seed based on popularity and being someone that the internet was talking about. Even though it's like he's everywhere, he does all sorts of shit. For some reason, I can't imagine him hosting the Oscars. He
I
might.
can't imagine it either. He's getting my vote, but I can't see it.
Ellen, I think he gets my vote too. Here's what I'll say about Ellen. Ellen is a fantastic stand-up comedian.
Sometimes people behind the scenes need to get yelled at.
Sometimes
That's what
people
I'm gonna
behind
say.
the scenes fuck up. No.
Sometimes your employees need to be treated like shit. That's all I'm gonna say in defense of Ellen.
I loved Ellen as a stand-up. I never watched her show. Not my cup of tea.
Yeah, why would you?
She apparently, from all angles, people say, is an asshole.
Yep.
But she's been, ever since leaving her show, she's been on a little tour of doing small stand-up sets, and she's trying to rebuild the fact that she is a very good stand-up. I think she would be a way better host than Dwayne Johnson, but I don't think the majority of people want to see it.
Yeah.
I would watch it. If it were just in my interest, I would rather watch Ellen try to host the Oscars than Dwayne Johnson do what Dwayne Johnson does.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think I got to agree. I'm just saying, if it was just me, Ellen would be a way better host.
Okay. But we're still moving Dwayne through.
We're moving Dwayne through. It's a popularity pick.
Yeah.
He's not going far. Moving forward, this is a fun one. We got Billy Crystal and Anthony Anderson.
Yeah, Anthony Anderson popped up in an article that I read that said that ABC was really looking at picking Anthony Anderson after Kimmel and Mulaney said no.
Which I love that idea. He's great, inoffensive, also a very fast sense of humor. He can think on his feet. I'm looking up Billy Crystal to see how old he is now. He's 76 years old.
Yeah, I think I like Billy Crystal.
And he's the safe landing spot for the Oscars. Whenever they get nervous,
sure,
it's bring true. Billy back.
Look, I think it'd be fun to see Billy back to like present Best Picture or something. Where you know the last couple years they've been bringing out the oldest person they can find to announce the big award. I think it'd be fun to have Billy come out for that.
See if he can read a teleprompter.
Yeah. Anthony Anderson, I think, is just fine.
Yeah.
Funny sometimes, but has definitely hosted things before and can move a show forward. I'm going to go with Anthony Anderson with the expectation that I'll probably vote against him in the next round just because I don't have any strong opinions about him. I know he's ABC's boy.
That's true.
I don't feel that strongly about him.
I like him. I like Billy Crystal, but it does feel. I think Billy Crystal is in that awkward stage of his career where I think he realizes if he comes out in a big way and does something like that, people are going to start talking about the fact that he used to do a Sammy Davis Jr. impression.
Yeah, that's a real good point.
It's a good time for him to lay low.
Yeah,
Anthony, you're moving on.
All right, Stephen Colbert at number 7 versus the team of Amy Schumer,
Classic.
Regina Hall, and Wanda Sykes.
This was, am I wrong? This was the year before the slap. Because Chris Rock got slapped.
Correct.
In my memory, Will Smith stood up and slapped all three of them.
That'd be nuts.
What is going on? Okay. Erase that. Forget I said anything. I thought Amy Schumer, Regina Hall, and Wanda Sykes did a better job than a lot of people think. I thought there was definitely, like you're referring to, some cringy, like, because there were 3 of them, it felt like they had to do skits instead of just telling a few jokes and moving on. I didn't hate him, though. Stephen Colbert, I love the guy. He's a pro. He's never hosted anything like this, which makes me think he might not want to. But he gets my vote easy.
It's an easy vote for Stephen Colbert for me as well. But this is a matchup where, like, I wish Seth or Jon Stewart had been in this number 7 seed so that I could vote them through. Stephen Colbert, grew up loving the Colbert Report and really don't get much enjoyment out of the Late Show with Stephen Colbert.
We
So
love the man, but he got very compromised by network television.
yes,
It's, he's a network man. He's not an ABC man. So maybe that's part of it. But have
this
Stephen.
might be the toughest matchup coming up
This is
here
a
for
big
me.
one. And so there was some back and forth. And by this, I mean, I sent back, and I don't think you sent forth. So our setting is the number 10 versus the number 23. We got Hugh Jackman versus the pairing of Tina Fey and Amy Poehler, who hosted the Globes several times, I believe. 1, 2, 3 times.
At least 3.
Hugh Jackman, I believe, hosted the Oscars once. We're testing my
Yes.
memory here. It was thrown out by me. Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds are really doing the rounds right now for their movie. They could want them as a pair. Ryan Reynolds is a very popular boy. So I don't know how you want to think about this, if it's just Hugh Jackman or if you think they would do it together. Could we get Ryan?
That he would. I think he would include Ryan in whatever the opening is.
Okay.
Do I think Ryan would be interested in sticking around for the whole show? Not really.
Then we'll consider it Hugh.
Yeah, I think it's Hugh with the promise that Ryan will show up at some point.
So this, to me, is this is all opening. Tina Fey and Amy Poehler are going to crush a comedy set at the top. Hugh Jackman is going to crush a musical number at the top.
Yes.
Which Oscars do we prefer?
Well, I prefer a Tina Fey, Amy Poehler joke opening.
Yeah.
But I think that the better host would be Hugh Jackman.
He's good at hosting.
I just tried to look it up and I couldn't find it, but I thought that I had heard that Tina Fey and Amy Poehler are not interested in hosting the Oscars.
Ooh, shit.
Because for anybody not in the know, the reputation of the Oscars is that it's a terrible room to do comedy in. But the Golden Globes, everybody's kind of like drinking and eating, so it's a little loose, it's a little fun.
Right.
Which is why those openings are generally more comedic.
Mm-hmm.
You can still, like, jokes still play decently at the Oscars, depending on how they're done. In the next matchup, you'll see somebody who would not do well, I think, at the Oscars, but has been a beloved, for better or for worse, Golden Globes host. I'm going with Hugh Jackman. I think that something we haven't talked about, except maybe with Selena Gomez, I guess earlier, Hugh Jackman is relevant at this awards ceremony. Amy Poehler, I guess, is in Inside Out too, so she'll also be someone with a stake in the game. Mm-hmm. But I do think that Hugh Jackman is a strong choice to have pop in here, and I think he would probably work with Ryan Reynolds, and they seem to be able to partner with a lot of different people in a way that would be an exciting, star-studded opening, I think.
Yeah, I think I agree.
Maybe not as funny, but I think it is who I would give the edge to. Again, wish that they weren't matched up in the first round, but here we are.
You know what the benefit of me fucking this bracket up is there's no way of telling at this point who's going against each other in the next round. It's a fucking mess. Coming up next, the number C seed, the number 3 seed versus the number 30 seed. We've got John Cena versus Ricky Gervais. We saw one of their naked thighs at the Oscars last year.
If it hadn't been for John Mulaney, I think John Cena would probably be the most talked about, like, best presenter from last year's Oscars.
Yeah.
I think John Cena's a very charismatic guy. And Ricky Gervais is somebody who I don't think would do well. I know that's
Yeah.
his whole thing of like, oh, I don't care. I don't care what you think of my
I
jokes.
don't care.
Which is fine, and some of those jokes can be very funny.
It's true.
Other times feels like he's just saying them just to say them.
Yeah.
I would go with John Cena here, as especially as an executive. That's, I think, a safer choice.
I will agree. Also, Ricky Gervais, a lot of bad press over the last 5 to 10 years.
Yep.
But the only thing with John Cena is I'm like, if we put him in this spot, we're gonna get Redditors nonstop making the same joke over again. How is he gonna
Which is
host when you can't see him?
insufferable. I didn't even see a host. Why did they just show an empty stage for 10
They
minutes?
talked so much about John Cena and then went with no host.
Yeah.
This joke sucks.
It sucks.
You should all be ashamed of yourselves.
Next matchup, number 14, Kate McKinnon, up against number 19, a person she maybe did an impression of on Saturday Night Live, Jane Lynch.
Well, we really accidentally paired up our LGBTQ people against
Hey,
one
that was
another.
AI.
That's AI. That's
AI.
not us.
That's AI.
We don't want this. Kate McKinnon, obviously the more immediately popular of the two. Neither of these two are thriving right now in the star meter. Jane Lynch,
Sure.
I would see as a better host. I do love Kate McKinnon. I think she's very funny. It's kind of like I don't see why Jane Lynch would necessarily come up right now, but I think she would be better. If that makes sense.
She's about to have her time in the spotlight on Only Murders in the Building in this new season that's coming out. I think Kate McKinnon is the person that I'll vote for. This is another round though where I think I'll vote against them in the second round, no matter who it is. But for right now, I think Kate McKinnon is who I will pick. I don't think either one of them would do a great job. And that sucks, but that's my thought.
I'll agree. Yeah.
Every time Kate McKinnon comes back to host SNL, and chooses to like not do jokes in the monologue and instead sing a wholesome song about how much she loves her friends, it's great, but that's not what I want to see at the Oscars.
Could combine an actual funny song, humor, and music. Would she?
Generally chooses not to, it seems like, but could.
Chris has a bone to pick. My heart goes with Jane Lynch, but I think I agree Kate McKinnon would make more sense. She also has the Barbie connect.
Yeah.
Which, I don't think the Oscars are ever going to tire of making Barbie references.
It's an interesting thing. How many times will Barbenheimer be mentioned
5 years from now?
5 years from now.
We still look back on the greatest summer of Hollywood. But speaking of musical jokes not landing, we have two, I'd say, borderline relics from the talkies. We got Conan O'Brien and Seth MacFarlane. I was going to say they seem like silent film stars, but their voices are important to them. Seth MacFarlane, famously of the "We Saw Your Boobs" song at the Oscars.
Yes. I look when Seth hosted, I liked it.
I think.
Was everything funny? No.
That's the Seth MacFarlane promise.
Exactly.
You're gonna like it. It's not all
you're
gonna be
like
funny.
it, but some of it it's really gonna rub you the wrong way.
Yeah.
Conan O'Brien. Look, I don't think Conan has any interest in doing this, but
don't either.
Would he be better at it? Sure.
I think so.
Do I think this is okay? So a little peek behind the curtain.
Oh boy.
we took John Oliver off of this bracket because John Oliver has been extremely vocal that he has no interest in doing it,
Yeah.
even though the viewers at home would love him to.
I think he might take our whole bracket if he were on this.
He would. And you know what? You said, wow, wouldn't the Muppets and Jon Stewart be a great pair?
Now we're
John
talking.
Oliver fucking loves the Muppets.
There we go.
And so I think that would be the most exciting thing, to have John Oliver paired with the Muppets to host the Academy Awards. That might be the way to get him to do it.
Yeah.
I think Seth MacFarlane, I mean, I don't see why he would be asked again.
Yeah.
I mean, he's completely done with Family Guy. He just comes in and does the voices.
Is that true?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
He has his TED TV show.
Oh, good for you.
And I don't know if the Orville is still on
so.
TV. I don't think so. But anyway, like, I just don't know what would prompt him to come back after 12 years or however long it's been. And I don't think Conan wants to do it. So this is kind of a toss up of like two people who I think are funny, but are probably going to get axed here in the second round.
Yeah, I'm leaning Conan. You know,
that's who I'm leaning.
I'm
also
a big old Conan head in the same way you're a Seth Meyers head. Both of these two have musical inclinations, which I don't care for. But I really don't care for Seth MacFarlane's musical inclinations. And
you don't like his Frank Sinatra crooning?
I don't.
In 2024?
You'd be surprised. Are we going Conan?
Yeah, we'll go Conan.
All right. Let's go.
Last matchup here. Number 11, Nikki Glazer versus number 22, Jimmy Fallon.
I mean, Nikki Glazer hot off the Tom Brady roast.
Yeah.
A lot of proving done that night that she can rib with the best of them, and is good with a microphone. Jimmy Fallon annoys the fuck out of me.
Jimmy Fallon, I think,
and is NBC's golden boy.
He is NBC's golden boy, so ABC would be very unlikely to hire him. They would hire Seth before they would hire Jimmy, I think. But you know, I think Jimmy is a very good entertainer.
Yeah. And people love him.
People do love him. He does especially well with the Midwest, which is, I think, where the Oscars wants to get more viewers from.
I don't know.
Because they know that most of the coastal elites are going to be watching anyway.
You know gotta tune in.
I'm voting for Nikki Glazer, though, as well. Unless I'm forgetting somebody, you know, as listeners of the Comedy Bang Bang podcast, this is our CBB alum that we're trying to push through in the bracket. So I'll vote for Nikki Glazer.
I will also vote for Nikki Glazer, mostly out of being tired of Jimmy Fallon for the past 30 years. And I'm 35. All right, that first round down.
Right.
Moving into the second round, we've got that number one seed, Steve Martin Short, Martin, and Gomez.
Yeah,
that's a good one. I vote for that just on the name. Versus Roy Wood Jr.
I mean, hey, I'm voting for that Only Murders in the Building crew. The proven hosting showmanship of Steve Martin and Martin Short.
Yeah.
Plus Selena Gomez, you know, if they wanted to do some sort of comedic song, all three of them are comedic people and can all have varying degrees of singing chops. So I think that you can do the best of both worlds with that trio, and it brings in a lot of different demographics.
I agree.
Roy Wood Jr., we salute you. But Steve Martin and Martin Short and Selena Gomez is my pick.
I agree. I love Roy Wood Jr., but comparing the two of these, it's a collective hyphenate. What's the word? Well, they're just entertainers. Yeah. Roy Wood Jr. is a stand-up and a former correspondent on The Daily Show. He's very good at telling jokes. But that's gonna be it's the Hugh Jackman, Tina Fey, Amy Poehler thing. I think we're looking for a little razzle dazzle.
Speaking of stand-up comedians, the next matchup:
so
Gerard
fucked.
Carmichael versus Taylor Tomlinson.
Can't get over.
I feel like I have my immediate choice on this one as well, actually.
Yeah, I think I would lean Taylor Tomlinson for the reasons we laid out of Gerard Carmichael's not he's hilarious. He's one of my favorite comedians, but he's not particularly entertaining to people who's not a fan of him.
Yeah.
Whereas I think Taylor Tomlinson's more of an entertainer.
I agree with you. I think Taylor Tomlinson is definitely who I'm voting for. Yeah. I think that it'd be interesting to see, Evan. It would be, because I don't know how much of a shot she has at actually getting hired to do the Oscars this year, but it'd be interesting to see, could she do the Golden Globes or the Independent Spirit Awards or one of those other shows, just as sort of an Oscars audition, if you will.
Yeah. I'm fixing things as I go.
Good luck.
It almost works. Coming up next. This is, I mean, I'm kind of sad to lose either of these. We got Chris Kringle. We got Quinta Brunson versus the Muppets. Again, would be a lovely
another
pairing.
Great thing to see together, yeah. I think that I'm still going to vote for the Muppets. Again, I don't know how likely it is that ABC would ever choose to have them host, but I'm still going with the Muppets. As you were mentioning logistics.
Yes.
And I think, honestly, as we've talked about the multiple pairings that they could have, Jon Stewart, John Oliver, and now Quinta Brunson, I think that they're going to mix humans in as ways to cut away.
True.
I think also it's a guarantee that you have Statler and Waldorf up in a balcony somewhere. So you can cut away to that.
Oh, my God.
Get your harsher jokes from them, and then get some other musical things going on. Maybe, there's a big pre-tape at the beginning of the Oscars to kind of cover a lot of the logistical things with the Muppets. Maybe you have that rowdy guy Pepe Le Pew out there on the red carpet. You can do all sorts of things with that big of a Muppet cast.
Yeah.
So I'm going to vote for the Muppets.
Would Animal playing off the long speeches?
Oh, yeah, that'd be awesome. He's out there. You just hear, wrap it up. And he starts drumming. It's great.
Someone's talking about Palestine. I will agree. I'm being very amiable or amicable. I don't know.
Somebody just wants to get this episode over with.
It's coming together.
This is Chris Rock versus Neil Patrick Harris. Very different styles.
Yes.
I think I would go with Chris Rock. But I could go either way if you have a strong inclination towards NPH.
My thought was this, because you said Chris Rock did remind me of what I said in the last round, which is like he would bring people in. People would be very excited. Chris Rock could feel safe, and people would be very excited to be like, oh, what's going to happen?
Yeah, and it could be, Will Smith last year was really trying to lobby the Academy to let him back in there because he allegedly wanted to see the performance of I'm Just Ken live in person. So he could
I didn't hear
lobby
that.
his sentence down to come back sooner. Maybe
That's
Chris Rock
so
says,
funny.
you know what? I'll host, but let Will Smith back in there.
Yeah.
Because he knows that's going to draw the viewers in. Who knows?
My argument for Neil Patrick Harris, not that I'm strongly him over Chris Rock, but I think we can both agree. Post-slap, Chris Rock put out a stand-up special, and he was decidedly older and crankier and less in touch
correct
with the world. Could lead to some awkward improvised moments. Neil Patrick Harris, I don't have any. He feels safer at this juncture. Fair. So
I will defer to whoever you want to pick because I know I'm going to vote against either one of them in the next round, seeing who they're up against.
I shouldn't be fixing this bracket. It was more fun when I couldn't. It was just lines everywhere and you couldn't tell.
Well, yeah, I mean, once we scroll down further, I won't be able to tell from there, but I can tell with this next matchup.
Let's give Chris Rock the benefit of the doubt. He is a professional, and I mean, his stand-up has always been raunchy as hell, especially in his younger years. But even then, it's not like he was going on SNL and being raunchy. He knows how to dial it back. You're in, Chris.
He did it.
Man, the justification is off. All right. We got Dwayne Johnson versus Anthony Anderson.
I mean, I like Dwayne Johnson as much as he's kind of been oversaturated, and I think most people are tired of seeing him at every showbiz thing. He will have just been coming off of Moana 2.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier about are any of these people going to be like remotely relevant to the awards season? Dwayne Johnson will have just been in Moana 2, but I think Anthony Anderson I think he'd do a better job. I think I'd have to still give it to Anthony Anderson.
I am giving it to Anthony Anderson. We agree. Count me among the many that are very tired of The Rock, but I saw Moana for the first time this past year. He's very, very good in it. And I'm sure he'll be good in the sequel and apparently the live action version.
Yeah, I don't know. He'll also, this will not be nominated for any Academy Awards, but he'll be coming off of the Santa Claus action movie Red One.
Has that not come out yet?
Chris Evans. No, of course not. That's a clear December release.
I feel like I've been hearing about this for years now, though. For a movie that's like, are people going to go see it?
I want to say it goes straight to Netflix, but I'm not sure. Anyway.
All
right. Next up here, Stephen Colbert versus Hugh Jackman. Look, I know where I'm going with this.
I think I do too.
For reasons that I said earlier in the Hugh Jackman versus Tina Fey and Amy Poehler matchup. I'm going to stick with Hugh.
Yeah, I agree.
If Stephen Colbert was still not hampered by network television, maybe.
De Niro.
That version that I've seen of him post Colbert Report just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, it makes sense. Moving on, John Cena versus Kate McKinnon.
I mean, I'm going John Cena.
I'm going John Cena.
We're going to get stuck with the votes, or not the votes, the comments on the, well, I couldn't even see him. But,
it's going to be annoying.
It's going to be so annoying. But I still am going to vote him through over Kate McKinnon. Last matchup in this round, Conan O'Brien versus Nikki Glaser.
I love Conan. I'm going Nikki.
I'm also going Nikki. I really do think Conan has zero interest in doing it.
It feels very unlikely. Let's not even ask.
Yeah, why bother?
Let's make that decision now. I hope people watching on YouTube are learning
How to use
how
Excel?
to and how not to use Google Sheets, because I'm doing both, baby. Oh, we got it all. That didn't work.
We in the Elite Eight at this point?
We have our 8, right? Is that what I'm trying to say?
I think so.
Lord
yes, we
knows.
do have 8 people left here, or 8 groups, I guess. First up, Steve Martin and Martin Short and Selena Gomez
Ooh.
versus Taylor Tomlinson.
I mean, I think I got to go with that number 1 seed.
I think I do too.
The further we,
it just has the mass appeal, I think, is the big deal.
Okay. I was gonna say something, but it's got to wait. But
okay.
All right, it's getting interesting. Now we got the Muppets versus Chris Rock.
Yeah. Look, I'm going Muppets.
I know I kept saying logistics is going to be a big issue, and it is. But you know what? You know who we get? Because you got to have someone direct the Oscars.
Right.
We get Frank Oz to direct it. He knows these characters. He doesn't do the voices or the puppeteering anymore. But he's a great director. And he can handle this shit. He's directed Muppets before.
Yeah. I mean, I think that I've talked myself out of most of the logistical issues of the Muppets.
It's
hosting.
too fun.
It's too fun. I think there are ways around it with pre-tapes and cutting to the balcony or to celebrities on stage or something.
You're a real problem solver, and I appreciate that about you.
Yes, that's me. Next up, Anthony Anderson versus Hugh Jackman.
Okay. I'll think about this one for a sec. Anthony Anderson does fill that, like I was saying earlier, like Hugh Jackman keeps getting paired up against straight like stand-ups, or like they do one comedic thing, and Hugh Jackman, not a comedian, but he can be very funny, he's very personable, and he's a good song and dance man. Anthony Anderson, I feel like, does fill this weird void where he's not, I don't think he's a stand-up, maybe he was at some point, but he is a very
Anthony Anderson.
Yeah,
I think he's definitely
is he a stand-up? I don't think he is. Maybe I'm wrong. But I feel like he is an entertainer.
Anthony Anderson is an American actor, comedian, and game show host.
Doesn't say stand-up.
I mean, I guess I would assume that that's what comedian means, but I could be wrong.
You could be. And I'm going to prove it. Damn it, there's him doing some stand-up.
There you go.
All right. A little bit. I am going Hugh Jackman, I think. But this one's closer than I expected for me.
That one was not close for me, but this next one will be.
Last in our Elite 8, we got John Cena versus Nikki Glaser.
This one's tough for me.
Tough. I have my decision.
I have mine also. I'm gonna go with Nikki Glaser.
Me too.
But we'll talk about why I'll probably vote against you in the final 4.
Yeah, I like John Cena. He's having a real moment, which is rare, and it's different than Dwayne Johnson's, as both former wrestlers, where it's like,
sure,
he's been an actor for a long time, and people have gone like, oh no, he's good, he's funny, he's whatever. And just all of a sudden, people are like, no, he's really funny. He's like really good. Yeah. He's a super talented guy. And I think it would be fun, but even like from the first round, I'm just like, he's not my first choice. The Reddit jokes, I just can't.
I know.
All right, we're in the final 4.
It's interesting the way this bracket shook out, Evan, because we are at our final 4. the first matchup is going to be the two groups going against each other,
Yeah,
while the second matchup is two
this could be the
individuals.
finals. I also gotta
Yeah.
say, our final four, very white.
Yeah, I kind of had a feeling that was going to happen.
Well, an AI ranks based on popularity.
Exactly. Anyway,
This is a tough one.
look, this first matchup,
I thought this would be
Steve
the
Martin,
finals.
Martin Short, and Selena Gomez versus the Muppets. Might as well be the finals.
I mean, kind of. Yeah.
I mean, now we're starting to get into
The logistics.
the logistics of the Muppets too much.
Steve Martin, he's hilarious. He can come out. He can play the banjo. He's so fucking wizard.
Yeah.
He can come out. He can do magic tricks.
Sure.
Martin Short can do characters.
They come out as Jiminy Glick at the Oscars.
Yeah. Selena Gomez,
Be great.
she can sing.
Yeah.
The Muppets can do anything.
Yeah.
I hate this juncture. Going back to the first Muppet movie, the fork in the road. We're at a fork in the road.
Yeah.
I don't like it, but I find myself leaning those Only Murders people.
I don't like it either, but that I think is also where I'm leaning, and it sucks because obviously Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez, great.
Yeah.
A great group, funny, multi-talented. The Muppets is something that, like, most people, especially around our age, give or take, a certain number of years, really seem to want to see.
Yes.
Like, it seems like that's a very fun idea. I
My
think
childhood.
that if the Muppets had any sort of hit in the last 10 years, it'd be easy to say, yes, now we can get the Muppets out here. But because Disney doesn't know what to do with them too much, it seems like the Oscars would be a weird place to put them.
It was the Jason Segel Muppets movie more than 10 years ago.
The Jason Segel one,
That's
yes, and then
nuts.
the sequel
Muppets
to that
Most
one
Wanted.
was 10 years ago.
Wow. Fuck.
Yeah.
That's
right?
where the gray in
So-
my beard came from. Wow. Okay. Well, if we're agreeing,
We are in reluctant agreement that
I hate-
the Muppets lose in the final
I
four.
always hate being in this situation where it feels like the number one seed is maybe going to take it, but I like knocking out that Mariah Carey song in the first round when I can.
I know you did.
But this is it. Actually, again, the way I made this bracket, there is no spot for the others. I really I killed this. Ugh. We got Hugh Jackman and Nikki Glazer.
I'm voting for Hugh Jackman over Nikki Glazer.
It's weird. Hugh Jackman makes more sense. My initial instinct was Nikki Glazer, but she does kind of run up against what I keep saying. She's one thing. She's a stand-up, and she's very, very funny, and she would do well. Hugh Jackman maybe gets us Ryan Reynolds, which puts some butts in seats.
I think that Nikki Glazer is very funny. I think that her raunchy humor, but also because she does so many of the roasts, her kind of mean-spirited humor that's not like, she's not a cruel person, exactly. But I think that only gets you so far at the Oscars. That I think that Hugh Jackman is who I would vote for over our CBB We see BB bumped her all the way up to the final
I
four,
think
but
we've found out through doing this that you and I care more about like someone being able to do a good musical number or something than we normally would act like. It has really
yeah,
factored into our choices, like how much can they entertain us and in how many different ways. I'll
yeah. In
agree
how many different ways is a big one. I mean,
because it gets
what I
stale.
wish they had done, I think it was in God, all the way back in 2017, maybe when Jimmy Kimmel was hosting. They asked the Lonely Island to do a song for the Oscars
Yeah.
and ended up not releasing it because the budget for it would have been way more than they had. But they released just the music on their YouTube channel with like them doing all the temp voices and stuff, and it's great. So I do have an affinity for um, fun musical
Yeah.
numbers. I think even last year, I'm Just Ken was like,
That was a
you know what?
blast.
This was delightful.
Absolutely.
Which means our final then is Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez versus Hugh Jackman.
Or going back to CBB references huge jacked man.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting this, but I did think early on, considering he's been doing the rounds for this movie, which genuinely, I have no idea what movie they're promoting. I have no idea what this is. I just see them everywhere. I don't know what they're promoting.
They're promoting Deadpool and Wolverine.
Obviously. Right. Which is a big hit.
You know, the two characters you are most likely to associate with each of them? That's what they're promoting.
I've never seen Deadpool. I don't associate Ryan Reynolds. I've only seen him as Deadpool in the Wolverine Origins movie. All that to say, I wasn't expecting Hugh Jackman to go this far. And now it is in a spot where I feel like we've got our clear winner, but like, I don't know. Hugh Jackman would be a solid choice this year. That's a crazy thought.
He would be a solid choice.
He would be a really good choice to host the Oscars.
I still am going to vote for that number one seed.
But here's real quick before you lock that in.
Okay, get your defense in, counselor.
Let's consider the fact that how are we qualifying Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez? Do we have to get all of them to say yes? Does this count as like, oh, just Steve Martin's hosting, or Steve Martin and Martin Short? Certainly couldn't just be Steve Martin and Selena Gomez. That would be weird as hell.
That'd be insane.
I'd be there for it, but that would be weird.
I'd be there for it too.
So there is a logistics thing here. Yeah. We need them all. Hugh Jackman, he doesn't necessarily need Ryan Reynolds to pop up and do stuff. He could be a good host on his own. But if we feel confident, we can get them. I'm comfortable moving them to that last spot. Just throwing that out there. Logistics-wise.
Well, again, I think Selena Gomez allegedly is going to be may even be in Oscar contention herself.
For what?
For some, I don't remember, but I remember reading that she's in an Oscar contending movie. I'll look it up right now. Is it this one? I do. Here's kind of my thing is.
This is your thing.
If Selena is going to be there already for a movie, whether she herself is nominated or not, like, what are these other two guys doing that they can't show up to the Oscars? You know what I mean?
True.
I guess they could be on a tour like John Mulaney, but I don't know. I think that, man, there's so many different links here on Selena Gomez's Wikipedia that take me to all sorts of different places.
We love it.
Okay, Amelia Perez, a 2024 French musical crime comedy film.
Okay.
Let's see. The premise. Disgruntled lawyer Rita is tasked with assisting an escaped Mexican cartel leader in undergoing sex reassignment surgery to both evade the authorities and affirm her gender.
Interesting. All right.
But yeah, the talk is that she could be in contention for an acting award. I don't know. I feel like Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez is a solid choice. I think the Muppets were a solid choice. I think Hugh Jackman is a solid choice. I think Nikki Glaser is a good choice. Yeah. I think that 3 of the top 4, if any of them were to get the job, I'd be down. I would still obviously be interested if Nikki Glaser got it as well. But I think that those 3 options from our final 4 stand out as they're on the podium, to bring it back to some Olympic speak.
Yeah.
I think I still vote that number 1 seed, which I know you hate to do, but that is still where I'm going.
Let's do it. But before I move it, I do want to say, not that
you've typed beep bop beep bop.
That is important.
Yeah.
But you talk about Selena Gomez being like, oh, they're talking about her getting an Oscar for this thing. I keep getting recommended the subreddit our Oscar race. This shit is so fucking dumb.
It is.
What are we doing? No one's seen this fucking movie. We don't know if she's good in it.
This one has at least come out or premiered at Cannes, the Cannes Film Festival. So some people have seen it. This says that she was nominated and won Best Actress at the Cannes Film Festival, but it does, I believe, unless I'm reading this wrong. Nope, I'm not. The 4 main actresses from this film are sharing the Best Actress award at the Cannes Film Festival.
Interesting.
So, she shares that with Adriana Paz, Carla Sofia Gascon, and Zoe Saldana.
All right. Whenever I get promoted that subreddit, it's people who just watched the new Joker trailer are like, well, okay, so obviously we know Lady Gaga's a lock. She's probably winning Best Actress. What the fuck are we talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck off. All right. Steve Martin, Martin Short, Selena Gomez, you're our choice. It's not a thrilling choice, but I think it would be thrilling if they got it. I think they would kill it. They're maybe the best option. And that's why we voted this way.
Yep.
That's how brackets work. Congratulations. Only Oscar hosts in the building.
Oh, yeah, that's how they'll bill it.
Oh, I hope so. Let's see if I can...
Let us know, though, if you agree that they would be good hosts, if you're as devastated as we were to lose the Muppets in the final 4. Let us know all these things. You can listen to past episodes and future episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Pocket Casts, HowDoWeHuman.com, anywhere that you get your podcasts. You can rate, review, comment, subscribe, follow, do all those wonderful things to boost us in the algorithm so that Seth Meyers can see that we heart him.
We do.
And you can check us out on our social media. You can follow us on Instagram at HowDoWeHuman.
Ooh, we got that handle.
Check us out on Facebook at HowDoWeHuman.
Yeah, I don't think you're ready for that handle.
Watch Evan struggle to build his spreadsheet on YouTube at HowDoWeHuman.
We got that handle. We really got that handle.
You can send us an email. Sorry, I'm going to do the email first because I forgot about the phone number.
Here we go.
You can send us an email to howdowehumanpod@gmail.com.
The best part of that handle is that it's an email.
Or if you're just so incensed that we cut the Muppets in that final 4 and you want to really let us know, leave a voicemail. 323-657-9896.
You could be mad that we did it, but be proud we were brave enough to do it.
Evan, are you ready to take another little quizzle here?
I mean, we gotta. I'm on a hot streak.
You are on a hot streak, and it scares me because you're 4 points away from me right now.
Okay.
The score is 75-71, and of course, Dustin has 4 points.
Of course. Can't be denied.
I'd really love to put some more points in between us, but I really don't know that that's going to happen.
I'll say I've had some week-long struggles before.
As I've been in the Olympic spirit, I fear that I could be like several of our athletes and have a big lead for a long time and then choke at the finish line. So let's see how we do today. Question number 1. What inspired the Grinch's green color, car, house, puke, or uranium?
I don't know about these answers. Did car inspire the Grinch's color? Or maybe house?
Well, Dr. Seuss famously was like, he said, I was inspired by car.
Jimmy Carr.
Yep.
I gotta go puke. I don't like it, but I'm going puke.
That's where my first instinct was as well,
Uranium's
but I'm going to switch over to uranium,
okay.
And we'll see which of our two first choices were right, because you and I easily ruled out car and house, so you know it's going to be one of those.
Well, yeah.
It was car.
It was car.
Well, I'm going to have to research that in a little bit.
This is getting ready to make me feel real dumb. What is 2000 in Roman numerals? CM, DM, MM, or DD?
Is there a reason I'm gravitating towards DD? Do I just want to click on the double Ds? I don't know.
DM'd to try to CMDDs.
This is going to make me feel dumb no matter what the answer is, even if I get it right. I
think,
I don't know about you, Evan. I'm between MM and DD.
I am also. I think it's the same pairing. I'm going to go MM.
I'm going to go DD.
Let's go.
Let's see. You were right. Question number 3. What first name is the Russian equivalent of John? Ivan, Yuri, Igor, or Adrian?
No, I think I know this. I'm not 100%.
I don't know this. So this will be just another week where I eat shit. I have a guess that, well, I guess I'm between two.
Okay.
I'm between Ivan and Yuri.
Okay.
Man, I originally was going to go Yuri, but this is how I have been getting so many questions wrong, but I'm tempted to do it. Because of course in Rocky 4, he fights Ivan Drago. Now, do I think that the Rocky franchise, 4 films deep, when they were naming their Russian character, do I think they just picked what is, the most common name in Russia and just put it? Kinda. So I'm going to switch from Yuri to Ivan, and I'll probably get it wrong. Evan, what are you going with?
I'm going with Ivan.
Okay. All right, we both get that point.
I know this as an Evan. Ewan, Johan. My fan just fell. And now all the dogs are barking. You love to see it.
You love to see it?
Okay. In the movie Ghostbusters, what instrument does Dana play? Guitar, saxophone, clarinet, or cello?
Man, I hate that I don't know what this is right away.
Is that Susan Sarandon's character? Who's Dana?
Susan Sarandon is not in that movie, but Sigourney Weaver, who I think you're thinking of, is. And yes, Sigourney Weaver is Dana.
I'd like to think she's playing.
There is
the
no
saxophone.
Susan Sarandon, only Zool.
Oh, okay.
I am between two of them, and I'm pretty confident it's one of these two, but I don't know which one it is.
I
and
have my
it's really bugging me.
answer. Yeah, I'm not positive. I'm gonna say cello though.
That's what I'm saying as well. But before I click it, the second answer I think is clarinet.
Same.
I think it's one of those two, but we're both going cello. Yeah. And cello is right.
It's funny because clarinet is the not precursor, but same family as a saxophone. But a clarinet, sure, that would work. Her character playing a saxophone in the middle of that movie would be so fucking funny. I would love that so much.
Where did Aristotle believe the seat of intelligence was? The heart, the eyes, the lungs, or the brain?
Interesting. I'm going to say eyes.
Yeah, that's...
Feels poetic.
Sure. Look, if gut had been in here, I would have picked gut in a heartbeat, and would have been wrong because it's not on here. But I don't think it's lungs or brain.
Okay.
And so I'm torn between heart and eyes. I think both of them satisfy that poetic nature. But I think that if I really overanalyze this question, which has never worked, I think I'm also going to go with eyes, because I think Aristotle was like, you see something and then you know what it is. That's intelligence. That's my Aristotle impression. And that's what I'm going with.
The eyes have it.
The eyes have it, except it was the heart. So
you had a chance.
Well, you gain 1 point on me, Evan. You're moving right along, as the Muppets once sang.
As the Jeffersons once said.
The score, of course, now is 77-74.
Ooh, I'm within 3.
Yeah,
this is
closing
thrilling.
In. Yeah,
man, I covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, you sure did.
All right, well, I think we're doing a fine job running ABC or whatever we're doing. taking over live streaming the Oscars, because our live stream went perfectly. Last time we live streamed, Chris Rock got slapped.
Yeah.
Was that our fault?
Yeah, it's true. We've never live streamed again, and I don't think he's ever been slapped since.
No. Bye.
Okay, bye.
He tried to come up with a pun. Bye.